In the video that I'm presenting today, I'll be discussing the Neville Goddard law that transformed my life. Spoiler alert, it's the law of assumption. However, I won't just be talking about the law of assumption, but also about how to use it correctly to achieve desired results. In this video, I'll be explaining how you can apply this law to your life in a way that works effectively. Additionally, I'll be sharing an exercise that I personally use, which has helped me to manifest everything that I've always wanted. Make sure to watch the video until the end, as I'll be covering more information about Neville Goddard. To better apply the law of assumption in your life, it is important to understand a crucial piece of information. When I began my own manifestation journey, I followed the same steps as everyone else: affirmations, visualizations, scripting, and journaling. However, I soon realized that I was coming from a place of desperation and scarcity, as I was about to graduate from college and did not want to work a regular 9-to-5 job. I wanted freedom and financial abundance, but I struggled with feelings of unworthiness and doubt. I hoped and prayed for what I wanted, but nothing seemed to work. I started with some assumptions, reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and Neville Goddard's works every night. I focused on assuming that I already had everything I wanted, but I found it difficult to ignore my current reality. I was a 21-year-old college student with no money or job prospects, and my thoughts and actions reflected that reality. I made assumptions and visualized having everything I wanted, but I saw no change in my circumstances. I would read a note I had written saying, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have $100,000 in my bank," every morning for a year, but nothing happened. I wanted to manifest my desires, but I realized that I needed to shift my thoughts and beliefs to match my desires, rather than my current reality. So you might be wondering, you were still assuming though. I'm doing all of these things as well, but they're not working for me. This is why they aren't working for you. Please pay careful attention. We never get things that we want. We get things that are proportional to who we are. Everything you're going through in your life right now is a direct reflection of your internal world and the assumptions you've made about who you are. Some people refer to what you believe to be true about yourself and how you see yourself as your self-image. Because it has been so profound for me, I have literally dedicated my entire life to working at this core identity level. When I changed my attention from having and from making all of these assumptions about what I wanted to have to who I wanted to be, my attention shifted from having to being. There are 3 paradigms of existence, which I have come to understand. I can't recall where I first saw this. We start out with what we want to have, and from there, people learn, what do I need to do in order to have? What should I do? What steps should I take? What significant action must I take to obtain? You've seen a lot of people who are constantly telling you to grind hard, grind hard, grind hard. If I don't grind really hard, I won't be able to sleep at night. I won't feel guilty as long as I've done everything I can. They are constantly trying to avoid feeling guilty. They may not really desire to have the thing they are pursuing, but rather want to avoid feeling guilty. This results in them taking massive action, which eventually wears them down and they do not achieve the desired results. On the other hand, there are individuals who effortlessly achieve what they want, as they focus on who they need to be to attain it. They don't feel guilty, and instead naturally take the actions required of them because they are aligned with their true self. They don't need to manipulate their actions or do something just for the sake of doing it, in order to avoid feeling guilty. Regrettably, most people, around 99%, operate from a mindset of scarcity and lack, and they take actions from a place of guilt. However, when I shifted my focus from having or doing to simply being, I started to envision myself as the person I wanted to become. Every day, I reminded myself of who I am becoming and who I am choosing to be. This mindset shift led to unexpected opportunities, such as a prospective client reaching out to me. At that time, I had no idea that I wanted to start an e-commerce, but today, my e-commerce generates over 7 figures annually, providing the financial freedom I longed for since my college days. That's exactly what happened to me. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, because reality takes a little bit of time to create the reflection that you desire. Because of the nature of matter, it takes a little bit of energy to move things around, a little bit of time for the image to form. That's exactly what happened to me when I started to make assumptions about who I wanted to be. Instead of seeing myself as who I was, I started to see myself as who I wanted to be and ingraining more and more of that. Now the question becomes, how can you do this for yourself? I'm going to share with you an exercise to do just that. But please, I want you to remember, don't get distracted in what you want to have, the shiny objects. Don't get distracted in what you want to do. Those are great starting points, and you're going to see when we talk about the exercise, those are excellent starting points. But those are not the end. The end is who you are being. Because please think about it this way. If I am, everything is because I am. Do you understand this? Literally spend most of your time thinking about this. If you understand this one thing, you will be a complete master of your destiny. Because I am, everything is because I am. The world is. The key is to focus on being assumptions. And this is what I like to call the identity. Who you see yourself as. What is your identity? I saw that in my life in every single area when I shifted fundamentally who I was operating as. Let's say in weightlifting, right? I was stuck for a very long time. I was a scrawny kid. I couldn't gain weight or anything. And when I shifted my focus from let's just go out and lift some weights into no. If I am this bulked up, this weight or this muscle, and I look like this, who am I being? How do I feel? Do you see what I mean? And then everything comes as a result of that. In dating, if I were this attractive guy, how would I present myself? If I am, do you see the assumption here? If I am, let's assume that I am. So now let's talk about this exercise that will make this all click for you. As usual, we always begin. It's okay to focus on what we want to have. For instance, I used to imagine waking up in my dream mansion, which was located in the mountains by a waterfall. Or maybe in Leh, it was a sleek, contemporary mansion with an infinity pool, where I could bask in the beautiful view with the partner of my dreams. I would then drive my red Ferrari into town. However, I soon realized that I was merely focusing on what I had, such as the Ferrari, the mansion, and the partner. I didn't focus on who I was as a person. I needed to focus on my character traits, how I felt in my body, my outlook on life, and my identity. That's the exercise we're going to discuss. Let's start by assuming what you desire to have. Begin by visualizing or assuming what you want to have, and then in that ideal scenario, consider some of the activities that you would be engaged in. If you had everything you wanted, what would you do every day? Who would you hang out with? How would you spend your time? When I envisioned having a successful 7-figure business, I saw myself having all the freedom and time in the world with a great team taking care of everything. I imagined chatting with my team, and everything was going great. Everyone was super motivated, and that is precisely what's happening now. Finally, from all of those visions, I can reverse engineer them to determine who I am being. When I looked at those ideal images of myself as a successful YouTuber, what was I doing every day? How was I making my videos? Just looking at something I was writing on the board. You don't have to know exactly what it is. The clearer you are, the better, obviously, but the most crucial aspect is having that feeling. And that feeling is who you are being. Focus more on the feeling of, if I were this ideal self, how would I feel? If I were making this successful video, how would I feel? Would I feel energized? Inspired? What would I feel? Once you've found who you are being, that becomes your core focus, and from time to time, you invoke that being throughout your day. You invoke that state, and you stay in it for as long as you can, and then you just fall asleep. This is what I realized. Neville Goddard never got this out. When he said, then you fall asleep, falling asleep literally doesn't mean you fall asleep in the literal sense. What he meant by falling asleep was falling asleep in life. And stick with me here, because I think this might be like a big game changer for you. It literally means just becoming this ideal self and reacting. Let whatever arises from there arise. Let whatever action happens from there happen. Do not interfere. Do not doubt. Let whatever problems arise, you fall asleep. Okay, everything that happens from that point forward is entirely natural. In the morning, you visualize, you become your ideal self, and from that point forward, you fall asleep. For the rest of the day, you're asleep because you already are this ideal self. Everything is happening naturally. There is no manipulation. Your subconsciousness just takes over. I learned this from playing golf my whole life. I used to think, all right, you should always be conscious, remain conscious, but it's a balance between staying conscious, consciously making the decision, and then reacting, because if you don't react, you don't let this beautiful system. This system that's been developed over hundreds of thousands of years, this system that literally survived so many natural disasters and so much. It's this infinite intelligence, the unconscious, the subconscious that we possess, function. When you let the conscious interfere, you don't let it function. So the conscious mind is simply for making the decision, making the assumption, and then the subconscious takes over from there, guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Happy manifesting.